Howdy doody, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful week. We are coming to you once again from the living room floor. Happy to have you join us and happy to be in your place as well. Let's go over just kind of in these next 2 weeks, kind of the sequencing changing. We've talked about this in the last video, but to re-go over it just quickly, we've changed the circuits from being 6 repetitions in 6 minutes to being a 5x5 grouping, so it'll be 5 repetitions and then it will be for 5 minutes total, but we keep it same at the 3 exercises throughout there. And then we have Tabata added into the back of this now too, and it's 3 rounds of Tabata. A normal Tabata round is going to be about 4 minutes, it's 3 minutes and 50 seconds, it's 8 exercises. We'll hit that all when we get towards it, and then we've changed up the warm-ups as well. So paying attention, if you don't have your pole, grab a pole of some sort. You can also survive with using a towel. So a towel is usually a good idea. You don't need like a huge bath towel, but if you got something a little lighter like our yoga towel here, that works out pretty well. Some weight today is a good thing as well, an individual weight or even something heavier. So Sarah's got like the baking soda to be a little heavier. I've got the laundry detergent to be so. But if you're kind of light on weight or if you don't want to push yourself a whole lot either, that water bottle works incredibly well. We'll even talk about water a little later on today. Or maybe just a nice big book to give you a little something, extra resistance, and get more out of your workout. So beyond that, trying to go barefoot through what we're doing. Proprioception, trying to know what we're feeling throughout the exercises, what are our target muscles, and how do we activate those target muscles into the movements. Let's see, injuries. If you got any injuries, be real careful what you're doing. You have any bright or you have any sharp pains, that's a no-no. We always want to kind of avoid that sort of stuff. So if you can't find your way around that with an exercise, don't hesitate to replace an exercise or to just simply skip an exercise into what we're doing. People with knee injuries, please, no jumping into what you're doing. Keep yourself safe. Beyond that, this is a good time to sport your Spotify tunes. So if you want to hit that little play button, you're welcome to it on your back end. And lastly, check in with yourself and just make sure that you're aware of how you're feeling. That could also be jumping into the injury front if you have somewhere that nags on you. Being careful throughout that, and also knowing your energy levels throughout the day. If you're feeling really good, prepare to come in here and to push a little bit harder and to make your time valuable right off the bat. If you're kind of slugging through the day, maybe you warm up with us and see how it goes throughout the day, but just check in with yourself and be aware of that. Okay, so let's get through our new warm-ups once again. We're going to be using one of those pole or towel items. I'm going to use a towel, Sarah's going to use the pole, and we're going to start with a couple moves, stand in with just the upper body involved. So feet should be a little bit wider than your shoulders, hands are going to be out in front, and you're going to go all the way up and over, and then all the way back in front. So loosening up, kind of full range of motion of what those shoulders can do. You could play around with the hand position through here, so they could go out a little bit wider, they might come in just a little bit. And if you can't go all the way back, no big deal, you could go to that halfway point. Next up, we're going to keep the towel or the pole overhead. We're going to reach over to one side, pulling down with the other arm, coming back up and switching it over. Okay, think about breathing in as we raise up, breathing out as we go out, breathing in, raising up, exhale, rotating. We got last 2 here, all the way up and over, inhale, raise, and exhale over. Okay, next up is a windmill position. So we're going to try to wrap one arm around the head and then follow, rotating in one direction 3 times. Once we finish that third one, we're just going to simply switch it around, opposite side. Same thing, if you need to make this like a little bit smaller around your head, you're welcome to it. You know, just kind of little rotations work just fine too. Excellent, and then last up, we're going to do some rotation before we hit the legs with our band or towel. You're going to rotate and extend one arm out, bring it back in, and as you turn to that side, that arm is straight, the other arm, the elbow is bent. You're going to pivot onto the opposite toes. So opposite heel lifts to help you rotate more naturally, side to side. We do 12 total rotations through here and start to feel the stretching through the upper body and through the hip line. All right, give me one more. And that is good. Next up, we're going to take this up and overhead. We're going to reach out your arms real far, or you can keep them kind of bent in if that feels better for you. Our stance gets real wide, so I'll give you that side angle. Sarah will give you the front angle. Remember to sit back and down as we go to one of the sides to push up through those heels and then reverse it over. 6 total reps. We keep it nice and smooth. If you got the depth in you, add the depth. Add some extra stretching by getting lower. Final one. All right, and then we go back overhead. So think about hands just a little bit in front of the shoulders here. Squat position, feet are shoulder width apart. We're gonna sit back and down and do a good solid squat and press on up through those midfoot to heel points right below us. So 6 reps. If you got depth, once again, do the depth. Pay attention to your knees and try to keep them stacked on the feet. Don't let them cave in. That is good. Okay, now we come to the floor. We've got 3 not using that prop this time. And we're gonna start you on your side. You're gonna clasp your hands. We're gonna do a T-spine opener here. So, hands right on top of each other, knees right on top of each other, feet right on top of each other. My knees are bent. We've got a 90-degree angle in our legs. We're gonna just open straight back. And we're just gonna come back and clasp those hands again. You got 6 reps here. We're not worried about going too slow. But this is to mobilize the top half of the body, so I want you to think about kind of right where those ribs start as rotating you open here. All right, one more. And then just simply turn and switch. Opposite side, same thing. Stack those feet, those knees, stack those hands, and then just open on up. Follow the eyes back with that hand as it opens. And think about the middle of your back is your rotator right here. Your core muscles, yes, but we're trying to mobilize your thoracic spine. 2 more. All right, last 2 warm-ups. First one more familiar. This is gonna be our side-to-side knee movement, our hip opener. And now we're reaching backwards into this motion. So feet wider than the shoulders, turn the feet and knees all the way to the floor if possible. Reach straight behind you, come back up, get tall, and reverse it over. Now, for the previous 2 weeks, we had been doing 12 total reps. We're gonna cut that in half. It's 6 reaches here before we move into our final warm-up movement. Work on pushing the knees down into the floor, feeling the hips kind of pushing into the floor is where we activate more stretch here. Okay, last one. All right, our final warm-up position gets us into a kneeling spot. We're gonna start with our right foot out in front, and foot's gonna be a little bit further out than the knee. And then today we're gonna add just a little bit of an addition. So if your right foot is in front, your left hand is gonna go just behind your head. You're gonna lean forward and peel that elbow back a little bit on the left. Now as you push back, your toe lifts on the right, and you bring that left elbow towards the leg. Sit back into it, stretch the hip, stretch the front of the body, push back and stretch that hamstring, and even get a little bit of the side of that hip. Start stretching on the right side with that cross movement. We're working on breathing. We're gonna breathe in and come forward. We're gonna breathe out and push back. Got one more. Inhale forward, exhale back. Let's go ahead and stand up, switch it. Opposite left foot in front, foot further out, and then that right hand right behind the head. Let's start pushing the hips forward, top of the body leans in, pushing back, lifting the left toes, and kind of bowing as you go back. Halfway, work on maybe getting a little deeper so we start to mobilize the ankle as we can push that left knee over top of it. Keeping it flat, last one. Awesome. Okay, so we finish up with some cardio into our warm-ups right here. It is our cross knee mountain climber, which means we're gonna have our opposite elbow going towards our opposite knees in 3, 2, and 1. Remember, you can be standing with your hands on the wall as an option for you if necessary. Otherwise, just kind of wake up your good plank position, feel your lats working, and really kind of bringing that knee, bringing it in quite a bit. We got less than 10, last few. If you want to pick up that pace a little bit, you're welcome to it. Finished up in 3, in 2, and 1. Bend the knees, take a little breather. Congratulations, folks, you are warm. I know I got a beater sweat or 2 going on my head. Let's go over our first circuit. So we've got 3 movements right here. Once again, rep counts for this circuit are going to be 5 reps on each side, 10 total for your movements. We're gonna have some weight available, so we do want you to be using some weight for these movements. We're gonna start out doing our Bulgarian split squat. So this is best done with like a couch behind you or maybe a small chair that you can prop your foot up onto. So we're gonna have a single weight. Sarah's gonna use her water bottle to activate this. And she's holding the weight on the same side as the leg that she's balancing on. Now, elbow is up in front, just like we were working on our squats 2 days ago. We sit into it, weight goes on that heel, and she comes up and pushes. I'm gonna actually make that a little shorter, so hop back a little bit. Let's go from there. There we go. We'll move the crunchy detergent out of the way. And so she's showing you a good movement from there. If you needed to regress this, make it a little bit more manageable, just practice your split lunge stance right here. You can go down a little bit and press up. Remember, that weight is gonna be in the forward leg arm. Forward leg arm is where that weight is. Our second movement is a real wide stance. It's called a Cossack. Basically a wide stance side lunge like we do in our warm-ups. You're welcome to hold a weight with you if you'd like. We're gonna go 5 reps to one side. So I want you to sit back and down. You can pull up the toes on the opposite side to activate a little additional stretch. You can choose to do 5 reps on one side, or you can just simply alternate and do 10 total reps to get you where you need to be. And then your final movement, we start putting a little bit of balance into things, but we keep that weight. You're gonna lift up one knee. You're gonna find balance into this stance. Holding that weight, you're gonna wrap it around the head 5 times in one direction. Now, there's all sorts of variations. You could bring it up higher, especially if you're lacking some of that shoulder mobility, or if you're a little unsure, you could just kind of move it side to side. 5 reps on one, and then instead of changing just direction, we change the leg, and we also change the direction from there. So pay attention to that one. We'll try to key you in as we go through it. Once we've done 5 minutes of these movements, we've got that cardio blast for 30 seconds, which is once again going to be that mountain climber on the floor with the cross knee special. I hope that is clear. I'm going to put 10 seconds on the clock. You're going to want a weight, and you're going to want to have an area that you can put your foot onto a lifted surface. All right, same side. The weight is held as the forward leg. In 2, in 1, she's going to sit into it and press up. She got 5 reps on one side. Remember, your more manageable option keeps you into that split stance, but still that weight in the forward leg side. Trying to keep that elbow in front of the shoulder is going to give you more activity through the upper body, through those lats, through the chest, and through the shoulders. Now, this is a balancing movement. What do I always tell you with balancing? Tighten your abs. If you can tighten up the core, and if you can focus the eyes on a still point somewhere, your balance is really going to improve. After that, we go to the real wide stance. You can keep a weight with you or not. Remember that we want you to start practicing lifting the toes on the opposite side, pushing the knee out a bit as you go down, so never allowing the knee to cave in through our leg strengthening movements. Perfect. She's got good depth. If you can add depth, this is how you can power up through the movement. And then once she's done with that, then it's balancing. Remember, with our balancing, it's going to be single knee that we want to be about as high as your hip. We're going to hold that weight there. We're going to wrap it around the body, around the head, the neck, the shoulders 5 times. Abs tight, eyes focused on one point. Finish that 5, lift the next leg, and reverse what that weight was doing. You can think about like a strong press through the leg to kind of elevate the body up here. Great, locking the eyes and the core to improve the balance. Once you've done 5 and 5, then you just go right back to where we started, that Bulgarian split squat with one foot on an elevated surface behind you. Remember, one more time, that weight is held in the forward leg side, that elbow is lifted, and then you get that little press of that shoulder at the top. Sarah's doing a great job. She's in control, and that is exactly what I want you all to be as well. If you're finding yourself wobbly, I want you to stop for a moment. I want you to try to find your balance by tightening the core, finding a focus point, and then continuing. It's not all about just going hard, it's going hard with control. That's really important. So our form and our function are a part of what we do. Big wide stance, sits to one side. Good. Right off the bat, her toe is lifting. Within 2 reps, she started going lower. And as she's pushing up, it's always through the heel. The heel is where we're gonna get the power source of the hamstrings and the glutes more active. Once you're done with that, it's back to balance. Knee at the hip height. Perfect. So she broke it down piece by piece. If you notice that, she lifted the knee and found it first. Then she started rotating around the head. 5 in one direction, and then you'll switch the knee and go 5 in the opposite direction. Folks, we got less than 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes in our first circuit. Hopefully you're warming up. Hopefully your balance is starting to kick in a little bit. Remember, with this movement and with that Bulgarian split squat, the hip is really dictating what a lot of balance is being held. So, if her right leg is forward, the right side of her hip is a great control center for where that balance is. Perfect. She stands up, she breathes out. Every time she stands up through a squat, through a lunge, she's breathing out at the top of that. Locked it, elbow in front of that shoulder. Now the activity, the extra activity is a part of what we're doing. As we get into the final minute, my challenge stays the same. I want you to try to eliminate breaks for your final minute right here. Try to work all your way through this final minute. And if you do have 5 or 3 reps or whatever remaining when time hits, finish those out and join us on the floor after for that cardio push. She's doing it. I love it. You got about 45 seconds out there. You should definitely be finishing 1 movement, if not 2 more. She's locked in. Bottom of that foot's working overtime right now. Find and feel those bottom feet position, those toes gripping in. Feel the arch of the foot. Can you raise up the arch just a little bit by pushing the toes in more? Got 20 seconds, folks. Last 20. And then we've got that 30 seconds of cardio to follow. Save a little in the tank, and then we'll give you a breather to follow here. You got 10 seconds remaining. There we go, good. She's cranking them out. She's gonna make sure that she gets her 5 on both sides. In 3, 2, and 1. We've got 20 seconds, and then we go cross mountain climbers. So Sarah's going hard in the paint right now. She's gonna get her full 5 reps on each side, then she'll join us on the floor. Remember your option, you can have hands on the wall, and you can be lifting those knees to the opposite elbow from that. Beginning in 3, 2, and 1. Cross knee, cross elbow, and think your body's staying in a good, smooth plank. Monitoring the hands, are they under the shoulders? Can you pick up your tempo just a little bit? We're more than halfway there. 10 seconds remaining. Finished in 3, 2, and 1. That is break time, ladies and gents. Circuit number 1, it's in the books. You're doing phenomenal out there. I'm very proud of you. Get yourself a little bit of water. High five somebody random. Well, there's probably nobody random in your house. That would be a little weird, wouldn't it? Probably have a talk with teenage kids at that point. All right, so that is circuit number 1. Circuit number 2 is going to bring us to the floor. Now, we're going to be using that broom or that towel in our second movement here. But our first movement is going to be a plank heel lift, and we're going to do an opposite hand touching shoulder. This is a pretty challenging movement, and so pay attention to the more manageable option I'm going to give as well, because likely some of you are going to want it. So basic plank position, and now we're going to lift 1 foot up. We're going to keep it up, and if my right foot is up, like Sarah's, our left hand is going to tap our right shoulder 5 times. 1 tap, trying to keep that body still, and then coming back down and reversing 5 on the opposite side. If you need a more manageable approach to that, I'm going to keep my left knee on the floor, and I'm still going to extend that right leg, and now my left hand is going to tap my right shoulder 5 times before I switch it over. Remember with that, where your hips are determines how hard you're working, so if my hips are really forward here, this is harder. If you start to move your butt back a little bit extra, that's going to make things a little bit easier on you. Okay? So that is exercise number 1. Exercise number 2 is where we use some form of that stick. And we're going to get into our Superman position again. just like our previous workout. You're gonna lift everything up and you're gonna hold it this time. You're gonna let go of one hand, reach as far back behind you as you can, come back up and repeat. So 5 reps on one side of reaching back as far as you can while you're doing your hold, and then you get 5 reps on the opposite side. So you're basically holding a single arm out while your heels are lifted as well. If you need a more manageable option, just keep your elbows close towards you and you can just lift up and come back down gently as a more manageable option for you. Our third movement puts us onto our side. It is our side crunch. This is going to have your bottom arm extended out in front of you, your top arm overhead, and your legs together. You can start with one leg and reaching up towards the toes. You can go to both legs through there. And as a more manageable option, you can keep the knees bent and just do a little bit of that lift, making things a little bit easier on you. Once we finish that up, your 30 seconds at the back end of this of cardio is skaters. So you'll have to stand once we're all done with our 5 minutes, and you'll have 30 seconds of skaters from that standing position. Just once again, those skaters being lateral jumps with that foot coming behind you, and then maybe even an opposite hand reaching to add power to what we're doing. That sound good? Phenomenal. Let's get to it. So we're gonna start in our plank position. We're gonna really work on that challenging balance. So I want everybody to start with your right leg lifted in your plank position. You can have your left knee down. And let's go ahead and lift up in 2, in 1. Our 5 minutes has begun. Sarah's gonna keep the leg up and her left hand is tapping her right shoulder 5 times. Then she's gonna switch. Now remember, your option on this is you're gonna keep that leg up, but the other knee comes down to the floor, and we can still do that opposite hand reaching towards the opposite shoulder 5 times. 5 and 5, and then once that is done, we go flat to the floor, we grab the pole, we're gonna keep the body in a lifted position, we're gonna reach back and then smooth coming up. Sarah's showing an awesome job of making this look smooth and controlled. She's pulling her lats down as that arm goes below her. And then she switches at the top. More manageable option, you could drop whatever you're holding and you can keep your elbows nice and close to you, do a lift, and then just gently return back down as your more manageable option on there. If you are doing that more manageable option, 10 reps. You give me 10 reps of those lifts as opposed to 5 when we're switching our arms. Last up, she turns to the side. Remember, her bottom arm is extended out in front of her. Her top arm is really reaching overhead. Huge, huge important piece to this movement, that top arm reaching back overhead every time. So she gets full range of motion when she allows that bottom position to occur. There we go, there we go. So you lift up, you breathe out, and then you're just right back to it, plank position. One leg lifted. The other knee can be down if you need it, more manageable. The opposite hand touching the opposite shoulder 5 times. She get good at it. Look at that muscle definition on her. My goodness. Got all these striations right here. You're getting ripped, girl. I like it. You just keep eating those cupcakes. I think great things are going to happen here. All right, she's going to the full lift. She's going to maintain the lift, and she's going to do a single arm, reaching back as far as it can, right beyond or to the hip. Control is huge. I want her thinking about everything in the back of the body here. She's got her heels up, which means we've got the legs working, hamstrings, glutes. The low back is creating some lift and maintaining. Then we've got the thoracic in lift. We got those shoulders working up top. From top to bottom, the back of the body is active and working there. Then she turns to her side. She's bringing both legs up. Your more manageable option is to keep your knees very bent on this one, and or to do a single leg, just your top leg lifting. More manageable options. Good. She lifts up, she breathes out. Lift up, breathe out. You've heard this before. I'll continue to ingrain that into you. Folks, you've got 2 minutes to go here. 2 minutes remaining. Find your breathing. Find position. Abs tight to help that balance. Nice, those are getting better. And remember, if you do start to max out at any point during these, don't be afraid to go to the knee to take that more manageable approach. Awesome, full body lift. And a big reach behind her. How far can the hand reach back? Can you get full range of motion into what we're doing? Good, keeping it smooth. Flying the arms out. We've got about a minute left here. We've got about a minute. So you know what I'm asking for. Minimize or not cut the break out completely. We'll get that 20 seconds at the back end of this, and then we've got to go up for skaters to wrap out this set. Breathing out, lifting up, and then smooth coming down. There we go. Breathe out, smooth coming down, and then that nice extension back overhead coming to the floor. Okay, so remember, we still got skaters. We got 30 seconds of skaters that will follow what we're doing. We've got 30 seconds left right here, right now. Wrap through it, work through it, get that sweat. There we go. So our glutes working in that leg lift. We got about 10 seconds, final 10 coming up here. Wrap out your 10 or your 5. Finish up in 3, 2, 1. 20 seconds of downtime. We're standing for skaters on the cardio option here. How we doing?
Good.
Very good. Hope you are too. Get ready. Make sure you've got room to move side to side. We get going in 2, in 1. Lateral hop in that opposite foot going behind. You want to add to it. Now we're going to start reaching opposite hand towards the floor as you land. And maybe you can even jump up a little higher. Start getting more. Push what we're doing. Got last 10 seconds. Last 10. Pump it up. Little bit extra. Finish, finish. In 3. In 2. And 1. That is breather. Woo! Those are your 2 circuits, ladies and gentlemen. We will finish things up with some Tabata today. I did not say ciabatta. I said Tabata. We're not promoters of ciabatta around here. It's usually made from white flour. That stuff kind of messes with blood sugar, so we'll take our hard pass on the ciabatta, but we will definitely say yes to the Tabata.
And cookies.
What?
Oh, you said we don't eat ciabatta, but we'll eat cookies.
Folks, pay no attention at home, but we might have eaten some cookies yesterday. All right, let's get into our Tabata. Remember with Tabata that Tabata is going to be 20 seconds of one movement, 10 seconds of rest. Now, it is 8 of those movements, right? So 8 of those ends up taking us about 3 minutes and 50 seconds to complete. We've got 8 total movements, but 5 of them are the same. Excuse me, that's not right. 3 of them are the same. We have 5 total different movements, 3 of them being the same, 2 of them just being different. Let's go over them. We'll try to clear this up for everybody, myself included. All right, so go ahead and stand up if you would for me to begin. You're going to grab a weight of some sort and we're going to go into a single leg deadlift. So I'm going to grab my book. I got my Tim Ferriss book. I'm going to practice using that. Whichever hand is holding the weight, that is the leg that is lifting behind you. So I'm going to be holding with my right. I'm going to be lifting with my right as I go down, and then I just come up nice and tall. Perfect. So we got 20 seconds on one side, going through that up and down. Remember, as you do this, we're trying to keep kind of the chest up a little bit to keep your back from rounding. We don't want a well-rounded back in this. We'll go 20 seconds on one leg, one side. We rest for 10, and then we go 20 seconds on the opposite side. Okay? After that, we get into a lateral lunge and a shoulder press. I'm going to grab something just a little bit heavier for this next one. So I've got my dish detergent. She's got her baking soda. We're going to make room to step to one side. We're going to step out. We're going to sit back like we've been practicing today. And then as we come up, feet go down to the floor, weight goes up, and I hit the ceiling because I'm tall. So you'll do that on one side for 20 seconds, then you switch to the other side for 20 seconds. Okay, from there we now bring it down to the floor. And we're gonna do a corkscrew plank down here on the floor, which has a little bit of rotation into things. So Sarah's gonna give you the side position. I'm gonna give you kind of a front on, and hopefully you can see that I'm gonna be moving more to one side. I'm gonna sit back and down so my hips go towards my heels, but my knees stay off the ground, and then I push back to a basic plank position. I go to the opposite side, push back to that basic plank position. So with this one, you'll just be rotating side to side. We will only do this movement one time. If you need a more manageable option on this, you're gonna do a child's pose, but you're gonna sit to one side of your child's pose as you come down. You'll come back up and lift into that plank and then sit back into the opposite side. So more manageable option, remember that one. We flip around, go onto the bicycle on our back next. You're all very familiar with this movement. You got the hands just lightly behind the head, opposite elbow to opposite knee, nice and smooth. If you need that to be more manageable, you're just gonna put your feet higher up in the air, make it a little bit easier. Last up, grab that weight one more time, V-shaped position, and then your opposite arm is gonna be extended out. We're gonna do a shoulder press from here, so it's gonna go up and then smoothly back down. Try to keep your chest up as you go through this, so that'll keep your spine a little bit more straight and keep some integrity for that low back as well. So you'll do it on one side for 20 seconds, you'll rest, and then you'll finish 20 seconds on the other side. If that's not clear, remember we've got 3 rounds of this. So your first round could be more of a learning experience, and then after that, we can get into a little bit more of a push pace for those second and third rounds. Let's get to it. We're gonna need a little bit of weight. We're gonna want it for the deadlift. We're gonna want some weight for getting into that lateral lunge and press. And then we're gonna want it for that V position with the shoulder press as well. Let's get us into Tabata mode here. I'm gonna hit that start button. You got 10 seconds. First up is your single leg deadlift. Remember, weight side lifts behind you. In 2, in 1. Let's get to it. Just gonna lean in. Just gonna extend the back leg. Start going and extend that back leg a little extra now as you come down. Good, good. And now thinking about her hips, keeping them square, not allowing that left side to lift up and to open, but keeping it down is where form is through that single leg deadlift. Now, if you feel comfortable with this movement, you're welcome to go a little faster. In 2, in 1, you got 10 seconds of break. We're gonna just simply switch our sides here. Whatever pace works for you, but that form's gotta stay clean. In 2, in 1, drop it down. Bring it on up. Uh-oh. Somebody made a coaching mistake here. I let the clock go too long. So you got 5 more seconds on this side, and then I'm gonna give you a quick breather. All right, very good. So quick breather for everybody. I'll hit that start button. Go ahead and get ready for the lateral lunge and the shoulder press now. Just working through those clock issues. In 3, 2, 1, sit into it. Come up and press. Sit back, up and press. Single side. If you can start working depth into that, if you can get lower, you can get more out of what we're doing. Perfect. Get that nice breathe out at the top. Standing with confidence at the top of that movement. In 2, in 1. Let's go ahead and set up to the opposite side. Okay, got that weight. After this one, we're going to the floor. In 3, in 2, in 1. To the left we go. Bring it up. Good. So she's not only pushed that weight up, but even the tiniest bit backwards, so we can get those posterior shoulders working at the top of things. There we go. She got the depth. She's challenging those last few. In 3, in 2, in 1. Now we bring it down to the floor. We get into that corkscrew plank. It's a little bit funky. Go to one side and press back up. In 2, in 1. Let's get moving. Sit back, press forward. You can drop to the knees and sit the hips back to one side and then sit back to the second. Remember, go side to side on this movement, hitting both sides. In 3, 2, 1, turn it, flip it, bicycles, hands lightly behind the head, feet up in the air. You're giving me a straight leg with each of these. In 2, in 1. Knock them out. Remember, with each rotation, I want to breath out. Remember, if you need to make it a little easier, your feet go higher. If you want to make it more challenging, your legs, your feet can go a little lower. And then fully straighten the leg each time. Give me activity through that leg. Work on form. In 3, 2, 1. We finish up in our V-seated position. We're going to have a weight in one hand. We're going to keep the chest up and do some presses. In 2, in 1, one side. Good. And what I want to point out with Sarah is her other arm's extended out to the side. So right now she's balancing through that arm, but she's also keeping activity on that side of the body too. Okay, her balance is struggling a little bit. She's going to squeeze her core. In 3, in 2, in 1. Rest for 10. Change the weight over. Opposite side. All right. In 3, in 2, in 1. Let's go again. Final movement up to bottom round 1. Let's keep abs tight, chest up, tall through the spine. 10 seconds, folks, 10 seconds. Keep your breathing. Push up, breathe out. Finish up in 3, 2, and 1. You got 1 minute of break, everybody. 1 minute to recover. Once again, it's a good time for high fives. I'm going to follow that elbow and connect smoothly with my partner. Now, whether your partner is participating in the workout right now, they still will give you a high five. I encourage you to high five even people that are sitting there paying no attention to you. If you have your headphones on, just go up to them real quick and tell Johnny.
Take the headphones out.
Oh!
And get on the floor.
Oh! She's going to say, drop and give me 18. She's going to be a tough mom. I'm going to have to look out for that. All right, everybody. So let's prepare for round 2. We start getting to understand what we're doing from here. We're going to start out with that single leg deadlift. Remember, whichever side, whichever hand is holding the weight, it's that leg that is going back from there. All right, 10 seconds we get going. You need to be in position. I want some weight in a hand. And once again, keep tall through the top half. In 2, in 1, lean into it and straighten that back leg. Lift and get tall. Yeah, there we go. Good, she's not gonna let her hips raise. She's trying to keep them as parallel as possible through that motion. All right, in 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring it up. Let's switch it over. Next side coming up. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Abs tight. That's okay. She had a little bit of a struggle. That's cool. What does she do? She takes her time to reset it. Work on it. It's a balanced movement. It's gonna challenge you. That's why we put it into here. Okay, last few in 3, 2, 1. You can keep the weight or add to it. It's lateral lunge and shoulder press up next. Okay, feet together, space to move. In 2, in 1, step it out. Strong press. Good. So if you're feeling good with this, now I want more pop as you come up from that outside leg. Push through that little powerfully and drive that weight up with a little bit of pop and power as well. If you need to make it more manageable, you're going just a quarter of the way down. In 2, in 1, rest, get ready to switch. All right, we're getting our roll now. In 3, in 2, in 1, step it out, pop it up. There we go. She's even added some balance into it now. Lifting that foot. She wants more of that challenge. Balance is going to challenge that. In 3, 2, in 1. Bring it down to the floor. Plank position. This is the corkscrew. We're going to sit back to one side. Bring it back up. In 2, in 1. Sit it back. Propel it forward. If you need, sit back onto the knees. Think child's pose position, more manageable approach. There we go. Get the rotation and then push strong as you come back forward. Push through those legs. Use the arms. In 2, in 1. Flip it around. Go onto your bicycles, on your back. In 3, 2, 1. Opposite elbow to opposite knee. Good rotations. keeping things smooth. Think about rotating through the core, not with the head and neck. Got it, girl. Form is great. Keep working on your form out there. In 2, in 1. We go to our V shape, single arm shoulder press. Grab that weight. Get set. In 2, in 1. You're lifting. Your more manageable option, feet can be on the floor, or a single foot can be on the floor as well. Her chest is tall, her abs are tight, and she's in control through that press. 3, 2, 1. Her V is becoming a flat line.
Becoming an L.
Don't be a flatliner. Don't do that. In 3, 2, 1. Switch it, opposite side, last moment, then we take another minute break here. There we go, there we go. Okay, find your breathing, find your breathing. Keep your abs tight, safety through that tightness. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. You can go to 1 foot, put 1 foot down. In 3, 2, 1. Whew. 2 out of 3, and all of a sudden we're starting to hit that wall. That's okay. You know, I like it when Sarah hits the wall, not just because I'm sadistic like that, but also because it gives people the reality that we burn out, right? So if you burn out, that's cool. Take a breather or go to that more manageable option. These are meant to challenge us. So get to a point where you're challenged. If that means you burn yourself out a little bit along the way, great. Then we're fatiguing the muscle even more through what we're doing. So let's get into our final round. We've got our single leg deadlifts. Last round of Tabata coming up. 10 seconds and we go, folks. Let's get ready for it. Whichever hand is holding the weight, that is the foot lifting behind you. Beginning in 3, 2, 1. Extend and straighten that leg behind you. Keep your abs tight and then tall at the top. You show me posture and form at the top of that. There we go. Keeping the hips square. Last few. In 3, 2, 1. Come up. 10 seconds. We switch the hands. Focus the eyes. Tighten the belly. Beginning in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. There it is. There it is. Belly tight. She's added depth to it now. So she's getting more full range of motion in the back of that left leg. She's stretching and then contracting. Huge when you get into full range of motion. In 2, in 1, lateral lunge, shoulder press next. If you want to add that pop or even balance at the top, go for it. In 3, 2, 1, step it out, bring it up, and push that weight up with a little authority. Push your body up with a little authority. Get some pop into what we're doing. It's your final round today. There we go. Now she's even got depth to it. Driving through that heel. Finished up in 3, 2, 1. Rest, switch. Hard work talking. 3, 2, 1. Let's make it happen. There you go. You got it. You got it. And these are your last exercises here, sweetie. Last leg exercises. Focus into this. Finish with the best bit that you can here. You all finished up on this in 3, 2, 1. We go to the floor. Corkscrew plank or child's pose. Sit back in that child's pose is that option. In 3, 2, 1. Sit it back and propel. Back and push. Think about a pinball. You play pinball, you bring back that lever, that spring is wound up and then ready to shoot forward. You push forward, you breathe out. You push forward, you breathe out. Finished in 3, 2, and 1. Flip it around. Bicycles next. 3 exercises. 3 exercises. Beginning in 3, 2, 1. Cross those bicycles. Make it smooth. Be gentle on that neck. There we go. 10 seconds. Find the abs. Pulling it side to side. In 3, in 2, and 1. V-shaped position, shoulder press on one side. Final 2 movements. You can do this with body weight. In 2, in 1. Get into that position. If you need that more manageable option, 1 foot on the floor. There we go, there we go. She's in the zone. She's not gonna give up. She got 10 seconds left on this side. She's turning into that flat line. Look out, everybody. In 3, in 2, in 1. You got 1 more, you got 1 more. Don't give up on these good people at home.
You should be in the horse race.
In 3, 2, and 1. And they're off. Final 20 seconds. All right, people, focus and keep those abs tight. Keep the top half of the body a little raised. This is the end. Last few coming up.
Horrible, horrible.
Oh, come on, get back up there. In 3, in 2, and she's down for the count, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Now, it is well known in my household that it is the core exercises that really get me. Sarah, it's usually the leg exercises.
That's what I couldn't hold my legs up.
Yeah, so I think tomorrow when I'm doing the workout, why don't you go ahead and videotape me for the good folks when I'm burning out on that final Tabata set. All right, you guys can all enjoy that tomorrow if you follow spulley123 at Instagram. All right, let's get into a little bit of our stretching. We'll rewind. We're gonna actually change up our stretches a little bit today, so I'm gonna start everybody in a child's pose. We had a lot of shoulder stuff going on today, so I wanted to give us an opportunity to really just kind of focus on releasing the shoulders first and foremost today. So where I want you is just hips, and if you'd like, you can bring your feet together and take your knees a little wider to get more into the hips. But just push your hips back towards your heels, reach your arms out, and allow your forehead to just gently touch the floor here. Okay. I also like to think about the inside of my armpit, or kind of even where the lat and the chest start. If I can depress that into the floor just a little bit extra, whether that's another centimeter or so, I find that helps me open my shoulders as well as my chest up through there. So same thing with the breathing that we always encourage you, kind of deeper and slower, and getting the body to unwind here is not only done with the stretching, but also the mental approach and the breathing. All those come together to get you into more of that parasympathetic nervous system that we talk about. Now I'm gonna have Sarah from here just breathe in, and as she breathes out, she's gonna press into the left side of her armpit more to the floor and raise the right side up just the tiniest bit. And then we're gonna breathe in again, come back to center. We're gonna breathe out and put the right side into the floor a little extra, lifting the left. Let's do that one more time on each, breathing in. And as we exhale, pushing the left side towards the floor, breathing in, into that right side. Good. Now, keeping this position, we're going to raise up just a little bit. I'd like you to take your left hand and reach it under your right arm. Okay? You might have to reposition that left hand a little bit too. And you might feel your hips raise up a little bit. That's okay, nothing wrong with this. But nice opportunity to get deep into that shoulder blade here. Once again, let's find that breath, deepening and slowing. Nice big inhale in. Long exhale out. We'll go ahead and bring that left hand back to where it was, and now that right hand threads under and over to the left side. Once again, kind of sit back to where you can and reach that hand out to increase the stretch in that right shoulder blade. Nice big inhale in. Exhale out. And then gently lifting your body back up from here. Okay, we'll get into our kneeling stretch next. So I'd like you to bring your right foot out in front. Your left knee is down. We're going to lift your left arm up. And we're going to just reach a little over to the right side and a little behind us. And I want you squeezing your butt on that left side as well. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about hydration as far as our little health topic for the day. Sarah has this great analogy because she's a plant mom, big time. She loves her plants. And she said, taking our body of the approach of a plant and how it can dry out without the water, but when the water goes in there, you see the thriving occurring through there. Let's go ahead and bring this hand down. We're gonna bring the right foot across. We're gonna get into that pigeon pose next. So allowing the knee to drop towards the floor. We're actively trying to stretch the right side of the hip here. And you can be onto the hands, drop to the elbows, your choice through that. But thinking about water as kind of the essence of life, and really that's what we know here on Earth, that water drives life. In fact, when we're looking for life on Mars, what are we looking for? We're looking for water first and foremost. And as we're more hydrated, I mean, this makes our blood more viscous, which means that not only can it bring more nutrients and more oxygen to the muscles, but it can also take more waste away from our cells that need that as well. Let's go ahead and come back up onto the hands, and let's change over our kneeling position. So we'll have our right knee down, and then we'll left foot in front. Right arm lifts, goes a little to the left side and backwards, and your right butt is squeezing behind you. Also think about kind of the repercussions of being underhydrated. We get headaches oftentimes, muscle cramps, more likely to feel fatigue. Hungry. Actually, that's true. You know, that's a wonderful point. I love that one, Sarah. Breathe in.
I'm an eater.
And breathe out. Yeah, one of the things I teach as a trainer is that sometimes when you're feeling hunger, go drink a glass of water and notice if that hunger kind of dissipates, because it might be a mistaken sign for just actually wanting some hydration into the body. Let's go pigeon. So bringing that foot across to the right side and working the stretch onto the left hip here. So trying to push that left hip down into the floor and get into where you like in that position where you can stay for a little bit. So ideally, in order to meet our hydration needs, we're looking for at least 80 ounces of water a day. Now, ideally, in men, we're talking more about 100 ounces a day. Women would be a little bit more into that 80 or 85 category. And then if you're exercising like we're doing here and you're sweating, because you should be sweating with this exercise, you should be adding probably at least another 20 ounces into what you're doing, if not another 30 or 40, based on what's going on. So how to keep track of that? Let's go ahead and come on up from here. We're gonna stand up, and I'm gonna chit chat, but I'd like you guys to get into a standing position, grabbing your right wrist and pulling it over to your left side. Well, the best way to measure it is to have a water bottle that you are familiar with the size, right? And so I know that my water bottle is 40 ounces, and that means 2.5 times in the day I need to drink this in order to meet 100 ounces, right? So do the math and whatever you have. Switch your sides on that stretch, please. Also, we've got a mason jar here. Mason jar filled completely up, 32 ounces. If we took it towards kind of that first ridge line here, sitting at more like 24 ounces. 24 ounces, I need 4 of these filled up a day to get to 100 ounces. So find out what your methodology is, and then keep this in front of you so that you're aware of what your water is throughout the day. Let's bring the hands down and behind us. We're gonna push them down and bring the chin up. We're gonna do a few head rolls in one direction. So I challenge you all to find one kind of container that you're gonna use to drink your water day in and day out with, to figure out how many ounces, reverse the head if you haven't done that already, and know the math of what it takes for you to meet your hydration needs day in and day out. All right, that is our workout for you today. Give some high fives to some loved ones. We'll see you very, very soon. Thanks for dropping in, everybody. Bye.